all of you have seen the mandible, so you know where the submandibular fossa is there. Over here, if you see it in the inner aspect, there is a submandibular fossa. So this region extends from the submandibular fossa of the mandible bone till the level of the hyoid bone. So this is the region of submandibular. These are the structures which are present, the important structures that are present in the submandibular region: the submandibular salivary gland, the hyoglossus muscle, the submandibular ganglion. So we'll be learning these structures in detail now. So if we look into this lateral aspect of the neck, we can see that these are the digastric muscle, the anterior and the posterior belly. This is the body of and the ramus of the mandible, and posteriorly we can see the mastoid process and the styloid process, from where certain structures are arising, like stylohyoid muscle. This is the stylohyoid muscle, and this is the posterior belly of digastric, which is attached to the mastoid process in relation to the mastoid process. The stylohyoid getting inserted to the hyoid bone. Over here, this is a superficial muscle extending in the in this front region. This is the mylohyoid muscle, and deeper to it, this is the hyoglossus muscle. So we'll be learning these relations. So submandibular gland will be located somewhere here into the inner aspect, located into the submandibular fossa, which extends little below to the margin of the mandible. So the superficial muscle that we were talking about was this mylohyoid muscle. This mylohyoid muscle is a flat triangular muscle. On both the sides, you can see this is a flat triangular muscle, which is on the floor, which is extending as a floor from the floor of the mouth, which is forming the floor of mouth. The origin of the mylohyoid muscle, if you look from the internal aspect, it arises from the mylohyoid line of the mandible. So in this picture, you can see this is the inner surface of the mandible body. Over here, this is the mylohyoid line from where the mylohyoid muscle arises on each side. This is the origin part. The insertion of this mylohyoid fibers, the anterior fibers of the mylohyoid will insert into the mylohyoid raphe, which extends from the symphysis mentae to the body of hyoid. This is the raphe where the anterior fibers are going to insert. Anterior fibers of the mylohyoid are going to insert. The posterior fibers of the mylohyoid will be inserted to the body of the hyoid bone. So this is the hyoid bone. Into the body of the hyoid bone, the posterior fibers will be inserted. So this is the first superficial muscle which is extending in this plane, which is crossed by the digastric anterior belly, and this is a posterior belly. So this is how when you extend the neck, you will appreciate, or while dissecting, you will appreciate this muscle. This is the mylohyoid muscle. It's supplied by the mylohyoid branch of the inferior alveolar nerve, which you have done already in detail. Now this is the mandible, inner aspect of the mandible, and from the inner aspect of the mandible, we can clearly appreciate where the mylohyoid line is situated, from where the mylohyoid muscle is taking its origin. Below this mylohyoid line, this fossa is the submandibular fossa. This is an important relation of a gland which is called as the submandibular gland, which is situated in the submandibular fossa, which is below the mylohyoid line. In this picture, we can see the various salivary gland. You have done the parotid gland. Now we'll be doing the submandibular gland in the submandibular region. So this is a location which is situated in the submandibular fossa, extends little below the lower margin of the mandible. So it will be seen like this between the two anterior and posterior belly of the digastric muscle. So we'll be doing first the component or the structure which is present in the submandibular region, that is the submandibular gland. We'll learn about its location, its parts, and its duct, the submandibular duct with its blood supply and nerve supply. So this is a submandibular gland. Now in this picture, this this shows the inner aspect of one half of the mandible. So if we see the inner aspect of the mandible, we can appreciate that this is the location of the submandibular gland, and we can see the shape of the submandibular gland. It is irregular in shape and the size is almost of a walnut size. It has got a larger superficial surface and a smaller, deeper surface, deeper part. So these are the two portions of the submandibular gland, a superficial one and a deeper one. Both the superficial and the deeper part of the submandibular gland are continuous with each other around the posterior border of mylohyoid muscle. So this muscle is the mylohyoid muscle which has been reflected. So you can see this was taking its origin from that mylohyoid line that I showed in the earlier slide, on the which is present on the inner aspect of the body of the mandible. So this from its posterior border of the mylohyoid line, mylohyoid muscle, the both superficial and deep parts of the submandibular gland are continuous with each other. Histologically, if you'll see the slide of a submandibular gland, it is a mixed gland which is containing both serous and mucous components. It is developmentally originating from endodermal buds which are arising from the floor of the mouth. So the location of the submandibular gland is nearly in our submandibular fossa, which is just below the mylohyoid line. So this is lying in the digastric triangle and is lodged partly in the submandibular fossa. Over here, this is the submandibular fossa, and it is extending posteriorly up to the mylohyoid line at the level of the molar, and opposite the molar and the premolar teeth it is lying. So that is the posterior extent of the submandibular gland. Now coming to its parts, this is the superficial part over here, which is lying superficial to the mylohyoid muscle, and this portion is the deep part. So these are the two superficial part. The superficial parts are situated in the digastric fossa and they will be superficial to the mylohyoid muscle. So this is the mylohyoid muscle in this aspect, and in this aspect, this is the mylohyoid muscle. This is the view when the oral cavity is seen from below. So this is the area of the upper alveolar margin, and from here you can the lower alveolar margin, and from here you can see the structures over here. So the second part is this red arrow marked area. This is the deep part of the submandibular gland, and it is deeper to the mylohyoid muscle, and it's superficial to the hyoglossus muscle. So where is hyoglossus muscle? This muscle over here, this is the hyoglossus muscle. So it is the deeper part is lying over this muscle, which is the hyoglossus muscle. And there is one more muscle which we'll learn, that is the styloglossus. So superficial to both these muscle is the deep part of submandibular gland. Now in this view again, which is showing from the inner surface of the mandible, we can appreciate this is the hyoid bone. So this is the cut edge of the hyoglossus muscle. Over here should have been the hyoglossus muscle. Over here also this will be the hyoglossus muscle. So we can see this muscle which is exposed right now. This is the mylohyoid muscle over which the superficial aspect of the gland is present, and onto the hyoglossus, resting onto the hyoglossus will be the deep part of the submandibular gland. And this is the posterior border of the mylohyoid muscle through which both the parts are continuous with each other. Now we talk about each individual part of the submandibular gland. So we'll first start with the superficial part. What is the extent of the superficial part? It is extending obviously medial to the body of the mandible, and below it reaches, almost overlaps the intermediate tendon of digastric muscle and attachment of the stylohyoid ligament, which extends from styloid process to the hyoid bone. And this inner to this mylohyoid muscle, this is the deeper part of the submandibular gland. Now, if we look into the superficial part, it has got two ends. This is the one end and this is the other end. So this is the anterior end and this is the posterior end of the superficial part. and it has got 3 surfaces as well. We'll come to the surfaces later. So let's see the anterior end first. So this is the anterior end. The anterior end reaches forwards up till the anterior belly of the digastric. The other arrow is towards the posterior end of the superficial part of submandibular gland, and this extends back to the stylomandibular ligament and through which separates it from the parotid gland, this area, the posterior end. Now, we are just talking about the superficial part only. So now coming to the surfaces of the superficial part. So in this section, we can see this, in this section, we can see the tongue in the center, and this is the cut edge of the mandible with the tooth over here, and lodged, this will be the area of the submandibular fossa. This is the mandible, so this will be the medial aspect or the inner surface of the mandible. So this is the submandibular gland. So the surface, which is the surface of the submandibular gland, which is towards the mandible, that has to be the lateral surface of the mandible. The surface which is lying inferiorly should be the inferior surface of the superficial part of the submandibular gland, and this which is lying is facing towards the medial aspect is towards the oral cavity. This part is the medial surface of the submandibular gland. So this surface marked as medial surface. The surface which is lying which is the surface of the submandibular gland, which is lodged in the submandibular fossa of the mandible. This is the lateral surface, and the inferior surface, which is at the base. This is the inferior surface of the superficial part. Now the fascia that covers the submandibular gland is actually that is the deep cervical fascia. You have already done the class of the deep cervical fascia, so you know that the 2 layers of the deep cervical fascia, which extends from the greater cornua of the hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone, this is the mandible, and in the center this is the location of the submandibular gland in the digastric triangle. So from the hyoid bone, the deep cervical fascia will split into 2 layers. These are the 2 layers which are splitting, and they will enclose a submandibular gland. One layer of the deep cervical fascia which passes to the lower border of the mandible and covers the inferior surface of the submandibular gland. The other layer of the deep cervical fascia will pass towards the mylohyoid line on the medial surface of the mandible and covers the medial surface of the gland. Okay, so this is the medial surface of the gland, and this is the inferior surface of the gland, and this was the lateral surface. So this is all covered by the fascia, and ultimately it reaches the mandible. So this is the fascia which is covering the mandible over here. So this fascia is covering its medial and the inferior surface, and excepting the lateral surface where it is lodged. So this is the area of attachment of the deep cervical fascia. Now coming to the relations of the inferior surface. So in this picture, this is the inferior surface, and this is the level of the tongue. This is the medial aspect. In this is the inferior end, and this is the mandible over here. So this is the investing layer of the deep cervical fascia, which has covered the submandibular gland on its medial surface and inferior surface. So let's see what are the structures which are related. So first and foremost will be the skin that is related to the inferior surface skin. Then the muscle which is called as the platysma, the superficial muscle, platysma. And over here also, if we can see the skin and the platysma. Then this deep cervical fascia, this investing layer of the deep cervical fascia, that will be covering the inferior surface. Also associated with the inferior surface is this common facial vein. This is a common facial vein, and one more superficial, the cervical branch of the facial nerve, which will be related, along with the submandibular lymph nodes, which is related to the inferior aspect of the superficial part of submandibular gland. So these arrows are onto the inferior surfaces. This is the diagram showing the representation showing the superficial larger part and a deeper part of the submandibular gland with the intervening mylohyoid muscle in between. So Now coming to the relations of the lateral surface. So the lateral surface in this picture, this should be the lateral surface, which is the part of the submandibular gland, which is lodged into the submandibular fossa of the mandible. Over here, this is fossa for mandibular gland. Over here should be the lateral surface of the submandibular gland. So the relation of the lateral surface will be, first of all, will be the submandibular fossa, which is on the medial surface of the mandible. Now, if we look into this submandibular fossa and just go behind it, what is this? This is the area of insertion of medial pterygoid muscle. So the another relation to the lateral surface will be the attachment or the insertion of the medial pterygoid muscle. One artery you can see in relation to the lateral surface, this is the facial artery, which loops downwards and then forwards between the bone and the gland. This facial artery is closely related to the bone and the gland, and this is winding around the lower border. This is the lower border of the mandible. It winds around the lower border of the mandible and at the anterior-inferior angle, nearly at the anterior-inferior angle of the masseter it reaches. So this is a site where after clenching of masseter, you can feel for the pulsation of facial artery also. So the superficial part, lateral surface, will be related to the submandibular fossa of the mandible, to the medial pterygoid insertion, and to the facial artery, which is turning its course in between the gland and the mandibular fossa. Now the medial surface is quite extensively related. So if we see the medial surface, the medial surface will be divided into three parts in terms of its relation. Let's see the anterior part first. The anterior part will be related to the mylohyoid muscle and the mylohyoid vessels and nerve, with submantle group of lymph nodes over here and submantle branch of the facial artery. So these will be relations to the anterior end of the medial surface of the superficial part. The intermediate part, if you can see, this is the intermediate part of the medial surface. This is resting on the hyoglossus muscle. This extending from the hyoid bone. This muscle over here is the hyoglossus muscle. So it's related to the hyoglossus. It's related to the lingual nerve, which is superficial to the hyoglossus. It is related to a ganglion which is overlapped by this. It will be deeper to this part. So over here, somewhere here will be the submandibular ganglion. This nerve over here, this is the hypoglossal nerve, so it will be related to the hypoglossal nerve as well, and will be related to the intermediate tendon of the digastric, the intermediate part. The posterior part, let's see the posterior part. The posterior part will be related to the muscle which is the styloglossus muscle, and will be related to the glossopharyngeal nerve. This is the glossopharyngeal nerve which is related, along with the posterior belly of the, this is the posterior belly of the digastric muscle, and the hypoglossal nerve as well, along with the facial artery. Sorry, the first part of the lingual artery. This is the lingual artery. So these are the relations of the medial aspect of the superficial part of the salivary gland. Now, once we have finished the superficial part, now let's see the deeper part of the submandibular gland. And we know how to locate for the deeper part of the submandibular gland. You have to trace the mylohyoid muscle. This is the posterior border of the mylohyoid muscle. So from the posterior border of the mylohyoid muscle, you can see the superficial part is being continuous with the deep part. So this is the muscle, which is, this is the deep part of the submandibular gland, which is between two muscles. This is the hyoglossus, it's resting upon the hyoglossus. So between the mylohyoid muscle in its superficial aspect and in its deeper aspect, this is the hyoglossus muscle. Between the two, this is the deep part of the submandibular gland. In this picture also, this is the view from the posterior aspect, inner aspect of the mandible when viewed from behind. This, when the inner aspect of the mandible is viewed from the lateral aspect, here also you can see that this is the mylohyoid muscle, and this along its posterior border, this is the deep part, and this is the submandibular duct. And look into a relation of the lingual nerve in relation to the submandibular duct. We'll come to this part. So these arrows are indicating the deep part of the submandibular gland, and they are related deep to the mylohyoid muscle. They are smaller as compared to the superficial part, and behind with the posterior border, along the posterior border of the mylohyoid, both the paths are continuous with each other. Anteriorly, if you see this deeper part will extend up to the posterior limit or posterior end of the sublingual gland. So in front, you can see there is one more gland. This is in the sublingual fossa, which is higher up above the mylohyoid line. So the sublingual gland ka posterior end will be the anterior limit of this deep part. Now coming to the relations of the deep part. The anterior relations of the deep part, as we just saw that anteriorly the deep part is related to the sublingual gland. Posteriorly, the deep part will be related to the posterior belly of digastric and stylohyoid and parotid gland. Medially, if we see, medially will be the muscle, deeper part is resting upon a muscle. This muscle was the hyoglossus muscle. And from above, from the styloid process to the tongue, this is the styloglossus. So these two muscles are related medial to them. Laterally, obviously, will come the mylohyoid. This is the mylohyoid muscle, which is in relation lateral to it, along with the superficial part of the gland. So superficial part of submandibular gland and the mylohyoid both are coming lateral to it, lateral to the deep part. If we see what is superior to this deep part of the submandibular gland, we can see there is a nerve over here. This is the lingual nerve, which is related to the superiorly to the deep part of the submandibular gland. And if you can see through the lingual nerve, this is it is connected to the submandibular ganglion. So over here, this is the location of the submandibular ganglion, which is connected through the roots with the lingual nerve. So submandibular ganglion along with the lingual nerve will be related superior to the deep part of the submandibular gland. What is below this deeper part of the submandibular gland is another nerve. This is the hypoglossal nerve. So these are the relations. So remember, one nerve is above the deeper part, that is lingual, along with the submandibular ganglion, and one nerve is below the deep part, that is the 12th cranial nerve, the hypoglossal nerve. And both these nerves are onto a muscle which is hyoglossus, which is related to its medial part. So two muscles are related to its medial aspect, that is hyoglossus and styloglossus. Two nerves are related superior and inferiorly, right? So these are the relations of the deep part of submandibular gland. Now gland can be palpable between index finger, which is placed on the floor of the mouth, and with the thumb, which is placed below the floor, anteromedial to the angle of mandible. So all of you can palpate this submandibular gland by this technique. Now we come to the ductal portion, the excretory duct part of this submandibular gland. Now in this picture again, which is from an inferior view, we can see the superficial and the deep part. This white structure over here, this is the duct of the submandibular gland or submandibular duct. In this picture, we can see the deep part of the submandibular gland, which is resting on which muscle? It is resting on the hyoglossus muscle, which is extending from the hyoid bone to the tongue. And then I told you that two nerves are related to the deep part. One is superior, one is inferior. The superior one is the lingual nerve, and the inferior one is 12th cranial nerve, that is the hypoglossal nerve. And so the submandibular duct, you can see over here, this is the submandibular duct which is running anteriorly. So this duct is around 5 centimeter long, and it begins from the tributaries in the superficial part. So from the tributaries in the superficial part, this duct will be formed, and from where it will emerge from the medial surface of this part of the gland, and it will be posterior to the, it will be related behind the posterior border of the mylohyoid. It is going to traverse the deep part. So it is going to traverse over the deep part. This is the deep part of the gland. It traverses the deep part of the gland. And where do it run? It runs over the forwards between the two muscles, that is the mylohyoid muscle and the hyoglossus, between this plane. That is, it's running on the hyoglossus muscle and overlapped by the mylohyoid muscle. it passes between the sublingual gland. Now in front, when it reaches, it is passing between the sublingual gland and another muscle. This is called as a genioglossus. These are the genial tubercle in the anterior aspect of the inner aspect of the mandible body. So this is the genioglossus till the tongue it reaches, genioglossus muscle. So between the sublingual gland and genioglossus, this duct is then running, and it is closely related to one important nerve, that is the lingual nerve. Can you see? Just now I told you that superior to this deep part is one nerve. This is the lingual nerve. So this lingual nerve, you can see this is winding around the submandibular duct to reach the tongue. So it will be crossed laterally by the lingual nerve, which finally goes into the medial aspect. From the inferior view also, you can see this is the lateral to this duct is this lingual nerve, which winds around it to reach the tongue. Now, where does this submandibular duct opens finally? It opens, this is the opening of the submandibular duct. So it opens at the summit of a very small papilla. This is the summit of the small papilla, which is situated at the side of the frenulum of the tongue. This is the frenulum of the tongue, and on the sides of it, these are the two raised papilla. At the summit of these two papilla is the opening of the submandibular gland. Where is the opening of the sublingual gland? That we'll learn. This is over here. The sublingual fold is there, onto which there are small openings of the ducts of the sublingual gland. Now let us revise all the relations of the submandibular region first. Till now, what we have studied. So in this picture, you should know how to draw this diagram. This is a very important diagram. You will be asked to draw this diagram also. So this is the styloid process, and this is the mandible, and this is the hyoid bone. First of all, you have to draw these three bony structure and the tongue over here. Then from the styloid process to the tongue, this is the styloglossus muscle. Extending from the styloid process this to the hyoid bone, this is the stylohyoid ligament. Extending from the greater cornua of the hyoid bone, this muscle which is rising upwards from the hyoid bone towards the tongue is the hyoglossus muscle. Easier to remember, from hyoid to the glossus means tongue. This is the hyoglossus muscle. Extending from the genial tubercle, which is onto the inner aspect in the midline of the mandible, extending towards the tongue, this muscle is, these fibers are the genioglossus fibers, which you will again learn in detail when you will be doing the tongue. So these are the three muscles that you should be able to draw. Then you should draw over the hyoglossus, you should be able to draw the deep part of the submandibular gland. And I just told you two nerves related. The upper is the lingual nerve, and below this is the hypoglossal or the 12th nerve that you have to draw. Suspending through the lingual nerve, you have to draw this submandibular ganglion, and from the medial and from the anterior aspect of this submandibular deep gland ka deep part, you have to draw this submandibular duct over here. And one more nerve that comes in relation not to this gland, but it comes in between these two, lingual and the hypoglossal nerve, is the 9th cranial nerve, which is the glossopharyngeal nerve. And this artery is from the external carotid artery, this is the lingual artery, which also comes in relation to the submandibular gland. So this is the overall relation till now, till what we know. अभी तक जितना हमें पता है उसके हिसाब से this is the relation of the submandibular region. The blood supply of the submandibular gland will be from the facial and lingual arteries, and the corresponding veins will drain into the facial and lingual vein. Talking about the lymphatic drainage, the lymph vessels will drain into the submandibular and submental group of lymph nodes, which then drain to the deep cervical group and ultimately to the juglo-omohyoid and juglo-digastric group of lymph nodes. Now we reached to the very important part of the lecture, that is the nerve supply of submandibular gland. We have completed ciliary ganglion and we have completed a pterygopalatine ganglion, and otic ganglion you have already done with the previous classes. So we are left with the submandibular gland nerve supply. So we'll talk about the submandibular ganglion today. So this again, as we know, the ganglion has parasympathetic root, sympathetic, and the sensory root. Secretomotor is parasympathetic for the submandibular gland and sublingual gland. Sympathetic is for vasomotor, which arises from sympathetic plexus on facial artery. And it is the lingual nerve which carries the sensory sensation of the submandibular gland. Now look into this picture carefully. This is just showing the parasympathetic innervation flow chart. Also, we'll try to make the flow chart of the submandibular ganglion connection. Parasympathetic, so over here, this is a submandibular gland and sublingual gland. These two glands will do together because both are supplied by the submandibular ganglion. So this is the submandibular ganglion. This is the region of the tongue. And from the, you can see that this is the level of the pons. So from the level of the pons, there is a nucleus which is the superior salivatory nucleus. So from the superior salivatory nucleus, the preganglionic fibers of the parasympathetic root arises. This is the fiber which is carried into the facial nerve. So this is the facial nerve. So into the facial nerve from the superior salivatory nucleus, this is a facial nerve which carries the preganglionic fibers, and this it enters into the branch of facial nerve which is a chorda tympani nerve. This is the chorda tympani nerve. It reaches here into the chorda tympani nerve. So we have traced from the superior salivatory nucleus to the chorda tympani nerve. So this chorda tympani nerve joins one more nerve which is a lingual nerve. Now lingual nerve is not a branch of the facial. Lingual nerve is a branch from the posterior division of mandibular nerve. So this is the lingual nerve. The chorda tympani nerve joins the lingual nerve. It joins the lingual nerve, and the fibers, the parasympathetic preganglionic fibers which had reached the chorda tympani will now enter into the lingual nerve. Now in the diagram also we had seen that below the lingual nerve is the submandibular ganglion, and connecting the two there are two roots. This is the posterior root and this is the anterior root through which the lingual nerve is connected to the submandibular ganglion. So see the fibers, parasympathetic preganglionic fibers from the chorda tympani joins the lingual nerve. It is carried into the lingual nerve, and through the posterior root, it reaches the ganglion. Which ganglion? It is the submandibular ganglion. So in the submandibular ganglion, it synapses and will reach directly to the submandibular gland. But see another pathway. From here, the preganglionic fibers, there is another set of neuron. From here, few fibers will enter into the anterior root and will join the lingual nerve again to supply sublingual gland. That means the submandibular gland is supplied directly from the branches of the submandibular ganglion. Directly you can see. But for sublingual gland, the parasympathetic postganglionic fibers enters the anterior root to reach the lingual nerve again, and via lingual nerve it reaches the sublingual gland. So in a nutshell, this is how you have to remember. From the superior salivatory nucleus of the pons, it reaches the facial nerve, and via the chorda tympani branch of the facial nerve, the fibers, preganglionic fibers, is carried into the chorda tympani, and when the chorda tympani joins the lingual nerve, it reaches the lingual nerve, and through this posterior root, which is hanging the lingual nerve with the submandibular ganglion, it reaches the submandibular ganglion and directly supplies the submandibular gland. But what's happening with the sublingual gland? Till here, the pathway is similar, that through the posterior root, it reaches the submandibular ganglion. But in the submandibular ganglion, the postganglionic fibers will be carried through the anterior root back into the lingual nerve, and it reaches via the lingual nerve back into the sublingual gland. So this is how it will from the submandibular ganglion, it will reach by this anterior root should be written over here. So from the submandibular ganglion, it will reach via the anterior root and then will reach the lingual nerve again to reach the sublingual gland. So this is we have covered the parasympathetic secretomotor supply to both submandibular gland and sublingual gland. Now coming into the sympathetic root. Sympathetic root we know is the vasomotor. So postganglionic sympathetic fibers, which is arising from the superior cervical ganglion, they will reach the gland as a plexus of nerve around the facial artery and the lingual artery. So this is a plexus around it, and from here it will these are the fibers, sympathetic fibers, which will be directly supplied without any synapse in the submandibular ganglion. So we have done all the ganglias, and we have seen that the sympathetic one do not synapse, they directly relay from the ganglion to the its final site. So over here it's the submandibular gland. The sensory fibers, the sensory root will be supplied directly via the lingual nerve. So the sensation from the sublingual, submandibular will directly be carried through the lingual nerve. So these are the three connections of the submandibular gland that we have covered. So now we see the submandibular ganglion. We have already seen the connection. So submandibular gland, these are the two roots, posterior and the anterior root, through which the lingual nerve is hanging the submandibular ganglion. And these are the direct branches from the ganglia, submandibular ganglia towards the submandibular gland. This is a deep part of the, so this picture I suppose everybody will be able to draw and have understood by now. So this ganglia we have already described, its roots we have described, its origin of fibers we have described, about its parasympathetic. So this is all the revision part, how the postganglionic fibers to the sublingual and the submandibular glands were passing through the anterior and posterior roots. So we have covered the submandibular ganglion. Now we come to the deeper structures of the submandibular region. So the deeper structures of the submandibular regions are the superficial ones were the mylohyoid muscles. And the deeper ones are the hyoglossus. This is the hyoglossus muscle, the genioglossus muscle, the deeper part of the submandibular gland, which should be somewhere here. So these are all the, and the glossopharyngeal nerve, these are all the deeper structures in the submandibular region. A little brief about the hyoglossus, because we are talking about this muscle again and again. Hyoglossus, as the name suggests, will arise from the hyoid bone, from where the lateral part of the body and the upper surface of the greater cornua, from here the hyoglossus will arise, and it will reach towards the glossus part, that means the tongue, toward the side and the inferior aspect of the tongue. It is supplied by the hypoglossal nerve because it's a tongue muscle. All tongue muscles majorly are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve, which you will learn in detail later on. So this hyoglossus muscle over here, this is seen in the submandibular region in the deeper aspect. Now, some relations are quite important for the hyoglossus. So, for example, this hyoglossus muscle, superficial relations. Again, we ask you to draw this diagram. We ask you to enumerate these structures in order from above downwards, which are related to the hyoglossus muscle. So let's see, this is a very important landmark, the hyoglossus extending from hyoid to the sides and the sides of the tongue and inferior aspect of the tongue. So this hyoglossus, what is lying superficial to it? Obviously, there is a deep part of the gland which is deep part of the submandibular gland which is related. Again, there is a correction over here. So deep part of the submandibular gland which is related onto the hyoglossus muscle. So from above downwards, if we see, this is the, from the styloid process to the tongue, this is the styloglossus muscle, the nerve which is lingual nerve. So we are going in order from above downwards. Then there is this lingual nerve. Then there are these roots of from the lingual nerve which is entering into the submandibular ganglion. So this is the third submandibular ganglion. Then we reach the deep part of the submandibular gland. Then we reach the submandibular duct. Then we reach the hypoglossal nerve, and from the lingual artery there is a branch which is called as the suprahyoid artery. We know that the lingual artery goes behind the hyoglossus, but one of its branch, the suprahyoid artery, reaches over here, somewhere over here. So it will also be related in order superficial to the hyoglossus muscle. So this picture and this enumeration should be clear to all of you. So these are the relations of the hyoglossus muscle. Now, what are the structures which are related deep to the hyoglossus muscle? So this hyoglossus is a reference muscle in the submandibular region where we'll do all the relations. So we can see that this nerve, only one nerve, this nerve, which is between the lingual and the hypoglossal nerve, this is the ninth cranial nerve, which is that ninth cranial nerve is called as the glossopharyngeal nerve. The glossopharyngeal nerve will be deeply related to it, along with the ligament which is extending from the styloid process to the hyoid bone. This is the stylohyoid ligament along with the lingual artery, which goes behind but gives a suprahyoid branch which is anteriorly related to the hyoglossus muscle or superficially related to it. Then there are muscles like genioglossus, which is again going deep to the hyoglossus, and constrictor muscle of the pharynx. So this is again another picture showing the relations of the hyoglossus, a similar thing but represented with another picture of your book. Then coming to the relations which are related to the posterior border of hyoglossus, we learned that the relation of the mylohyoid posterior border was the place where the two parts, superficial and deep part of submandibular gland, was being continuous with each other. Now, what about the relation of the posterior border of hyoglossus? It will be related to the glossopharyngeal nerve, it will be related to the stylohyoid ligament, and it will be related to artery, the lingual artery. So these three things are related to its posterior border, closely related to its posterior border. Now, lingual artery arises from the external carotid artery, which is opposite the greater conua of the hyoid bone. Now, let's see that in this picture. This is the external carotid artery, and this is the lingual artery which is coming out of it. So, the lingual artery will give off, it has a tortuous course with its first, second, and the third part. The first part is crossing the hypoglossal nerve. The second part runs along the upper border of greater cornua, which is deeper to the hyoglossus. And the third part is ascending upwards and going under the surface of the tongue. So from the anterior border of the hyoglossus reaching up to the tongue, this is the third part. These are the branches from the lingual artery, the suprahyoid branch, which we just talked about, which is coming in relation to the superficial aspect of the hyoglossus, dorsal lingual arteries, and sublingual artery from the first, second, and the third part. Now, a brief about the sublingual gland, because we did this gland together with the submandibular portion of it. So it is lying in the sublingual fossa, and it is also has both serous and mucous acini, and the ducts are multiple ducts which opens into the mouth of the summit of the sublingual fold that we had seen. So this is a sublingual gland which is related anterior to the deep part of the submandibular gland. So this is the related cysts of the sublingual salivary gland, which when blocked, one of these ducts when blocked can lead to the wrist or the ranula under the tongue. So we are at the end of our lecture now. We have completed all the structures which are in the submandibular region, all important structures, ganglion, nerves, and the muscles. So this is in a nutshell, this is the picture. Again and again, I'm showing this is important draw. So what are these structures over here? So this nerve, which is superior to the deeper part of the submandibular gland, connected through anterior posterior root to the ganglion, submandibular ganglion. So obviously this will be submandibular ganglion, and which will be this nerve, and try to think what will be this nerve which is going to the related to the posterior border of the hyoglossus muscle. This is hyoglossus, I've just told you, and which is this nerve which is coming in relation superficial to the hyoglossus and just inferior to the deep part. So this is your answer: the lingual, glossopharyngeal nerve, hypoglossal nerve, hyoglossus muscle, and the submandibular ganglia. These are the questions that by the end of the lecture you should be able to make. Draw a label diagram to show the structures related to the superficial surface of the hyoglossus. Enumerate the structures related to the superficial surface of hyoglossus. Nerve supply of submandibular gland, all the three, parasympathetic, sympathetic, and the sensory, and detail about the submandibular ganglia. Thank you.